The road was empty. At least, that's what he thought. His headlights swept across the trees as he rounded a bend somewhere in rural Ohio. No houses, no traffic, just miles of dark forest pressing against the edge of the road. Then, something caught his light. Not a pair of eyes, a silhouette. For a split second, it stood between the trees. Too tall to be a deer, too broad to be a man. And completely still. The driver later struggled to explain what bothered him most. It wasn't what he saw. It was what happened next. Nothing. The figure didn't run, didn't charge, didn't retreat into the woods. It simply remained there, motionless, watching. Long enough for him to realize that he was looking at something he couldn't identify. Then the road curved, the headlights shifted, and the figure disappeared back into the darkness. For decades, stories like this have emerged from Ohio's back roads, forests, and forgotten corners. Most are impossible to verify. Many are easy to dismiss. Yet, witnesses often describe the same thing: a large, canine figure, standing upright, watching from the edge of the woods. And that raises a question. If there is no single Ohio Dogman story, why do so many people keep telling the same one? Hey, I got a new one for you. Ever hear of the Ohio Dogman?
The cartoon? The kids' cartoon?
No, that's a different Dogman.
Oh, right.
Anyway, welcome to the Neighborly Unknown, the show that you listen to when nothing else sounds good. I'm Miguel.
And I'm Ed.
Won't you be our neighbor? And join us as we talk about the Ohio Dogman.
I think it's important that when we talk about the Dogman, right, that we also tell Wolfman stories that have existed for centuries, right, throughout time. European stories kind of start us off, right? And they go way, way back to ancient Greece, actually, and a story of Zeus. And the first recorded kind of story I think that exists, that is found, at least through passing on through legend, was the story of Zeus transforming Lycan of Arcadia into a sort of wolf creature as a punishment, right? That's an original story, right? It's been passed down through centuries. And this is a very, very important story through what we consider to be like Wolfman's type stories, right? And the reason is because this is a punishment, right? It's not a gift. When Zeus kind of does this sort of thing, it's to punish this king for doing kind of crazy stuff, right? I guess he was trying to feed Zeus like human flesh or something like that. It's weird. You know about this at all? I didn't dive too deep into this, but it's a little weird. It sets the tone, right? Because Greece and ancient Greek stories get passed all through Europe forever, basically. So it doesn't stop there, right? In medieval times, we're talking like 15th, 17th century Europe, and I didn't actually know about this. There were legit trials, werewolf trials that existed for centuries, 2 centuries. Kind of piggyback a little bit on the witch trials a little bit.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah. This is the male version of it, right? Because witches were focused, female and stuff like that. And there is some overlap to that a little bit. The lines are a little blurred with witchcraft and then turning men into werewolf type creatures or whatever. As we all know, it's all BS, right? It's just a bunch of religious hoopla and stuff like that. But they seriously killed people, brutalized and killed hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the centuries.
Wow.
And again, they viewed the werewolf as a sort of like anti-human, bad creature, immoral human beings being transformed into this sort of thing. It's important to note that
Mhm.
most of these individuals were outcasts. Okay, they were beggars, hermits, immigrants, right?
Yeah.
And it was easy for these people during the medieval times to just kind of point to terrible things happening and say, hey, it must be a werewolf. It couldn't just be like a normal person doing terrible stuff. Um, so they were scapegoats, right?
Yeah.
They were
Mhm.
treated like scapegoats during this time. Um, I feel like you have some questions on the medieval trials. It's pretty cool. I dove a little bit into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's surprising. Well, considering I'm on the eve of a trip to Salem, Massachusetts, so
Right, right.
um, it's surprising that there were werewolf trials. I actually did not
I
know that.
know, I know.
So, but then again, I didn't do any research for outside of our country
Yeah,
for this
sure.
show.
I know,
So,
I know. Yeah, it's it popped up and it was serious for a long time.
mhm.
After the 17th century though, there was kind of like a big joke around there
Yeah.
that there was a story I came across where a guy actually tried to claim that he was a werewolf and that's why he went crazy and they just like laughed at him in a courtroom. Whereas like
Nice.
100 years before that, they would have been like, "Oh my God, you're dead! We're gonna skin you." They used to do like skinnings and stuff. It was crazy. Yeah,
I turned into a wolf.
I know. I
I
know.
got better.
So that's most of Europe, medieval Europe.
Hmm.
Fast forward a little bit, we're in like 1764. There's actually a legit story. I might screw up on this name, although I looked up how to say it. Lougaru. Have you ever heard of Lougaru?
Lugaroo.
Lougaru? Did I say it
Yeah.
wrong? Okay, it's in France, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know a little bit about this creature?
Um, well, funnily that we were talking about supernatural right before
Oh, I
recording
know. Yeah, yeah.
is the Lugaroo or Rougarou, as it came to be known in the states, is
In one of the
in one
episodes?
of the episodes.
Okay,
Yes.
full disclosure, for all of you nerds out there, I've never seen Supernatural. I just started watching it. I'm only 2 episodes in, so please no spoilers on the show. So I'm looking forward to that episode. So that's interesting. It's they called it the Beast of Givadon or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Legit, they don't know what it was. It killed over 113 people
Whoa.
and had 210 attacks during a 3 year period. That's recorded French history.
Wow.
They literally had the king dispatch armies to try to kill this creature or these creatures. And then some farmer said that he killed one, and then there were no other attacks past 1767. This is legit. This is like a serious thing. So um, there was no kind of like uncertainty. They don't know what it was, but it was a wolf-like creature,
Yeah.
that had these attacks. This is serious. Again, Germany had the same sort of thing going on with the stories, not with the attacks, right?
Yeah.
Wolf-like creatures were treated like they were outsiders, living on the edge of civilization. They did have one very serious case of some person that had supposedly like killed his son or something like that, and they thought he was a wolf. So they just tortured him and killed him, and then did all
Mhm.
kinds of terrible stuff because that's what they used to do back then.
Yeah.
These stories came over,
Yeah.
right? My point is that they existed for thousands of years before the Americas existed. And then, of course, they came over because this is the time where settlers and colonists were starting to come over here.
Yeah.
And so they brought these wolfman werewolf style stories to the Americas, right? And this is the part that I think is really interesting. Stories already existed here. Okay.
Yep.
And this is, I think, what you're going to touch on a little bit. We already had stories in this part of the world
Yep.
before the Europeans ever had them.
Hmm.
So there's a good blend of American style, Native American style wolf
Hmm.
stories and European style wolf stories. But I think you're going to talk a little bit about the distinct differences between
Yes.
how these work.
And I want to make this differentiation really clear right from the start here. before we continue, it's worth noting that not every native story is a skinwalker story. I know that it gets harped on a lot because of Skinwalker Ranch and because almost every single podcast out there that covers cryptids and monsters and every scary story out there is going to want to say it's a skinwalker. Not everything is a skinwalker. It's always, if you're thinking skinwalker, it's only going to be in the Navajo Nation. The Navajo Nation is the ones that originated the skinwalker tale. Their lands are in the American Southwest. They are tied to specific people, a specific culture, and a specific landscape. And modern paranormal media often uses the term as shorthand for any indigenous monster, but that's not how those traditions work. As an indigenous person myself, I am not Navajo. My people are close to the Navajo, the Aztecan people. We started up there in the Southwest, in the American Southwest, and then moved down into Mexico.
Cool.
That is, and then we blended with the Olmec, the Mayans, and the Aztec were two different people group that kind of became the same one. We both blended the Olmec traditions, and
can you tell us a little bit about what a skinwalker is? Because
yes.
I kind of had to look this up myself, and because I don't know a whole lot about the story or the.
Skinwalker is for the Navajo people. It's going to be a curse. It's someone who dealt in magic to do basically take revenge or vengeance or something else like that. They get stuck in that kind of transformative place between both man and animal.
Okay.
And so it's not always going to be a wolf. Sometimes it's a deer, sometimes, a buck.
Interesting.
The skinwalker kind of has that antler.
Okay.
Or there's another tradition that's called the Wendigo. So that's kind of the same kind of idea, but it's using magic. It's using forbidden spiritual magic to kind of enact this sort of revenge.
Okay.
And so I think that really touches on what I wanted to say about this, was that we have to remember that for indigenous people, that they view the world differently than the Europeans do.
Yeah.
Is that animals are people too. In their worldview is that everything has a spirit, everything has a voice, everything is very much alive, and so animals that could talk, that was not foreign to native. That's not, and it's not seen as a curse all the time. A wolf is going to be seen as a hunter, as a family oriented species. That's always going to be that. Animals marry humans in a lot of the stories. Animals make deals. They make trade. They give people things. They're generous, and so are wolves in the native tradition. And so the question isn't, can a wolf become a person? It's, was the wolf ever really separate from people to begin with? When we're going to the native stories.
Okay.
So I just want to make that clear before we go into the.
Yeah, I like it. Okay. No, I like that stuff, and I think it's important to point out that seems like, at least correct me if I'm wrong, that's one tradition through one tribe, right?
Yeah.
And it has a negative connotation for the wolf or these creatures in general.
Yes.
Is that right? Because what I found is that most indigenous traditions around wolves are very positive. Like you were saying, like they treat these things as like, spirit animals or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And our tribes here, which, you said the Navajo were never in Northeast Ohio or in the Great Lakes region, but our tribes here were, the main tribes that kind of around this, area at the time. We had Ottawa. There's a lot more, right? There's a lot more, but I'm focusing more on the wolf tradition tribes.
Yeah.
The Potawatomi,
Hmm.
the Shawnee, excuse me, and the
Johnny. Hmm.
Miami, right?
Yep. Hmm.
And they were all, and we mentioned this before in some of our other podcasts, they're all
Yeah.
Algonquin speaking tribes.
Yep.
They all had wolf spirit traditions,
Yeah.
all of them, every one of them. And they were here, like in this area. And it's important to note that the area where the wolf man was actually seen, or the dog man was actually seen, was in Defiance, Ohio, right? Which is like
Hmm.
kind of on the western side of the state, a little near Toledo area. And what I think is interesting is that there was a very important battle that was fought in that area, the Defiance area. And I don't want to go dive too deep into this, but the Battle of Fallen Timbers
Yeah.
was fought there,
Hmm.
which all these tribes that I just mentioned were all part of a group that was trying to fight western expansion, right?
Yeah.
And so the point is that there's a lot of there's a clash of Native American tradition with the wolf creature, wolf man. That's positive, and then you have a clash of colonial or European traditions that has a wolf man that's very negative, and they
Yep.
clash kind of in this territory, right? It's borderline wilderness frontier. Once the battle's over, it's over.
Yeah.
Like we're done. We expand all the way as far as we want to expand forever and ever and ever. So it was a very important battle. This is very interesting. I don't know if you came across this. Have you ever heard of archaeologist William Romaine?
No.
No, it's cool. So he actually found burial sites in Ohio that also include Ohio, where Native Americans. This is thousands of years ago. This isn't like basically Battle of Fallen Timbers, but the tradition was passed down, where they actually took wolf skulls and they made them so they would fit on the shape of a human face or a human skull for traditional purposes.
Yeah.
Okay. And they also took human skulls and added in wolf bones into the skulls. They found this stuff. And I
Wow.
looked this up because I wanted to make sure I wasn't like gonna convince you of something different, but this was more of a ceremonial thing. This
Yeah.
wasn't like we're gonna become wolves or
Yeah.
whatever. It was
Yeah.
more embracing the spirit of the
Yeah.
animal, like you were talking about. But I thought that was really cool. But this is like 2,000 years ago. This isn't
Yeah.
like recent stuff. My point is, the tradition is there, and we've seen regalia of Native American shamans wearing not just wolf headdresses, but animal
Yeah.
bear,
Hmm.
deer stuff, putting on things. And I think, from my understanding, please correct me, because I don't know as much about this as you do, that it's supposed to be embracing the spirit of the animal, right? It's
Yes.
supposed to kind of help mesh the spirits, right?
Yeah. And it's they're seen as family.
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
they're part of your family tradition. That's why a lot of the anglicized names are like dances with wolves. That's like the
Yeah.
main
Yeah.
kind of thing is because like they're seen as family. It's a family
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
They're our relatives. They're in our areas. We're living with them
Yeah.
and beside them, and so like they're cousin.
Okay.
So
That's cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. There is one creature. I don't know if you know about this guy. This name's tough too. Weezakachek.
he's Kutch.
Weezakach. Algonquin spirit. It's a shapeshifter. Uh, Shared wolf transformation as a gift for the tribe in the Great Lakes region.
Hmm.
Right. Again, it's about power. It's about elevating your
Yeah,
knowledge through your spirit. It's
yeah,
not considered a curse. This creature, right, is not a demon or anything like that. It's actually a friend of the Algonquin speaking tribes, or the Algonquin related tribes.
yep,
So that's again, going back to Europe, punishment, right?
yeah,
This is a negative thing. We don't want werewolves. Native Americans, these are our family, right?
yeah,
This is a part of our culture, and we embrace these individuals or whatever. And it shows, right, it shows the difference, right? And then here we are. We have a dog man now. We have a creature that exists in Western Ohio, right, in the 70s that is borderline, right? Maybe there's a terror element there, maybe there's not a terror element there, and that's kind of where we stand, you know.
Well, and I mean, a lot of the sightings, especially more modern ones, come from more of the Appalachia region. It's going to be a little bit more of the um, south of Columbus. You're going to be in the
Okay.
more southeast part of the state there. So a lot of this is kind of border
Yeah.
traditions, as you brought up with the European stories and with the native stories. They're both kind of liminal things, right? And
Yeah.
so this is kind of what we've been talking about with every episode that we've done
Yeah,
so
I know.
far is that all of these things kind of live on the liminal,
Yeah.
live on the border, kind of is it something else? Is it human? Especially with melon heads
I
and
know.
frogman.
Yeah.
Like, granted, the cold open there is very much like the melon heads.
Yeah.
You've got a dark Ohio road.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You've got like vast forest
Yeah.
area.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
And this one's cool because this one's actually some of the stories revolve around train tracks,
oh yeah,
and um, it's a different type of connection. Like whereas Frogman was more like river, and Melonheads was more woods. This is like kind of like industrial, kind of,
hmm
but you have the border, right?
yeah,
Because the train system, or a train system that basically was frontier and then expanded us out west. So it is kind of like a weird little thing, but it also, as we've talked about in our original podcast, relates to how Ohio started to decline during that time
oh
period
yeah,
as well. So it's a kind of a weird little thing. I really like the train stuff a lot. The train tracks as being, and my friends make fun of me because I like trains, but but like a river is a
yeah.
symbol, the forest is a symbol, the lake is a symbol. I think the train tracks are a symbol. And I'm going back to our previous podcast.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up because I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. But I mean,
Oh, did I jump? Did I jump the gun on you? I'm
oh no,
sorry.
it's all right.
Okay, I thought that was the
This is a good transition into
Okay, good.
talking about Ohio and
Okay,
why it's Ohio.
good.
So, well, yeah, because Ohio doesn't need a monster for the Dogman to make sense because it already has conditions for one, right?
Yeah.
As we've talked about at least 5 other times, like it's not in a supernatural way, geographic, cultural, or historic one, because Ohio is not a single kind of place. Ohio is weirdly on the border.
Yeah.
We are a liminal space. We're always in translation. We're not ever just one thing. We started off as this large swath of forest.
Mm-hmm.
We have these lakes and these rivers and these tributaries, and it's many layers on top of each
Oh,
other.
yeah. Yeah.
And then it goes into this farmland, and then it transitions into industrial,
Yeah.
and then it transitions out of industrial back into farmland, and now we're in this weird
Yeah.
kind of liminal space again where
Yeah.
we're transitioning yet again
Yeah.
into something else.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of people who want to make it data centers, and we talked about that a little bit last time, and I'll go into that here in just a minute. But
Okay.
the Midwest and Appalachia overlap here. So do farmlands and the Rust Belt, and so do deep forests and collapsing industry. You drive long enough around here, and you'll see it shift without warning. Just a few minutes down the road over
Oh,
here.
I know you're in.
You're in the forest.
Yeah,
again.
absolutely. I know.
A few minutes down the road this way, you're in Cleveland proper.
I know. You're right.
And we're in a quiet suburb. The quiet suburb becomes a stretch of empty road, and that road becomes forest, then the forest becomes something older than either. So the Dogman thrives in that sort of transition, right? Not because it belongs to Ohio, obviously, because as I've said at least 5 times before, Ohio just wants to have everything of its own.
Yeah, right.
So we did it with Sasquatch. We made him
We did.
Grassman.
Yes.
Melonheads is better Ohio than
Yeah. Bessie is our Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't just be.
better than Connecticut and Michigan, was it?
Yeah,
Michigan. Yeah. And Frogman is uniquely ours.
Yes.
So
yeah.
although I think there's other frog stories elsewhere, but
We don't
I
have
think
to talk
Frogman
about it.
is
Yeah, Frogman's special. Yeah.
is special, especially because he has the wand here.
The other wand.
Yeah.
Love that wand.
And speaking of the old rail lines cutting through the woods here.
Yeah.
And I mean, considering that we just had a massive rail incident.
Oh, I know.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
Was that 23?
It was a couple of years ago. It was on the eastern side of the state, but
Yeah.
it's still pretty terrible. Trains are a very important part of our economy here because everything runs through Ohio. It always has.
And we discovered that the rail system doesn't have good regulations anymore. That they just kind of let things slide.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I think, along the lines of why some of those stories are going to be popping up along the rail lines.
Do you think so? Yeah. Yeah. I like the rail. Like I said, it's interesting because, how we were talking about, I don't want to derail you, no pun intended. But I think it's interesting because we were talking about, blending kind of cultures with these stories. And you have the European stories on wolfmen and you have the Native American stories on wolfmen and we talked about, or I mentioned that the rail system was basically the Western expansion. Right? Yeah. Without the rail system, there probably would be no Western expansion. Oh, yeah. And it exists at a place where there was a very important battle that was fought to open up the West for settlers, right? Mm-hmm. And basically crush Native American resistance in this region for pretty much ever. And now you have this creature who's hanging out by rail tracks and railroads at the place where the battle was fought. Oh, yeah. And it's an interesting connection. It maybe is a little too coincidental, for this sort of thing, because it's that was the reason why we expanded out west, but it's also a symbol of economic decline for the Midwest and the Rust Belt region, during the 1970s. There's no more of that. I mean, we still use rail system, but it's not a huge, it is a huge part of our economy now, but industrialism at the time was the major focus of that. So, in the 70s, at least.
Yeah. I mean, just recently with seeing, the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, you don't realize how much, shipping happens by ships still. You think, well, maybe everything travels by plane.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
We still use rail. We still use ships. We still use overroad trucks. And,
yeah.
And we still got people trying to automate all of those and cut people out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But because of this, because we're liminal, because we're still in those transitions away from those things where people still think that they shouldn't be on the rails, even though maybe a train comes once a day, once a week or something across these rail systems. We still have that part of our psyche where we're, you shouldn't be on the train tracks. Too many people saw a Stand By Me,
Oh, yeah.
the bridge there.
Yes.
And
they're dangerous.
Yeah, they are dangerous.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't have anywhere to go, like on the bridge.
Yeah.
Or
it's where you flatten your pennies.
Yeah, right. I didn't do that as a kid, but
I lived pretty close to train tracks.
Oh, did you?
So, yes, I did.
Okay.
Although in deep South Texas, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah,
So like,
right.
those trains are going like to Mexico or something.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So because uncertainty is uncomfortable, the human mind prefers a shape, even a frightening one, over none at all. A shadow in the trees becomes a possibility. Possibility becomes a pattern, and a pattern becomes a story that people start telling each other. So, why Ohio? Maybe the better question is, why does any place where things are changing feel like it needs a boundary keeper in the dark? Something watching at the edge of town, something that reminds you that the world beyond the streetlights is not fully known, something that appears only when you are alone enough to notice it. And Ohio has never stayed one thing.
Right.
What makes it fertile ground for stories like Dogman, for Grassman, for they're all men,
Yeah, I just realized that.
Frogman.
I think we tried to say that Bessie was a
Bessie is a woman,
woman.
yes.
Yes.
Uh, the frogs are a gender, so
Yes, right. Yeah. I
uh,
saw that in Jurassic Park, so
yes,
I know what you're
yes,
talking
the frogs,
about. Yes, yes.
yeah, can make their own gender. It's fine. So isn't just it. The reason why it's fertile ground for it is that it's not just the forest or the back roads. It's the way the land keeps changing what it is. This is a place that once was shaped by water and indigenous trade routes, then reshaped by farmland, then reshaped again by steel mills, rail lines, factories. And then those factories pulled people into cities and left other areas hollowed out when they collapsed. And now, in many of those same spaces, a new transformation is happening again. Data centers, warehouses, new infrastructure laid over old fields, land that was once open, becoming fenced, powered, monitored, optimized. And in between all of those shifts between forest, farm, factory, and server farm, there are long stretches of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Places where the past is still visible but no longer functional. Where the present feels temporary. Where the future hasn't fully arrived. And this is where stories like Dogman take root. Because cryptids rarely appear in places that feel settled.
Yeah.
They emerge in places that feel in between. And Ohio is
In between.
forever in between.
Yeah, right.
As one of our state mottos says, we're the heart of it all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right in the middle there. Yeah. We are borderline. I mean, Illinois is right there, but we're borderline and then you're gone, We're
yeah.
right there. You're out there now.
And I mean, we're right on the edge. Like you go
Yeah.
further east, you're in Pennsylvania, you're in New York, and there are a lot of people
Yeah.
in these eastern states.
Sure.
And we're right on the borderline of that, and then right on the borderline of the Midwest. We are the Midwest,
Yes.
but right on the borderline where you go further west and people start spreading out.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all packed
Right.
closely together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I mentioned Illinois because they have. I mean, there's Indianapolis, I guess, but
Yeah.
Chicago is the hub, and then after that,
Yeah.
it's going to be a while before you see major hubs.
Yeah.
So.
We're not going to talk about Texas, but
No.
that's a completely different thing of a different sort of thing. But so a shape that appears in the woods that looks like a wolf and a man doesn't explain what's happening, but it gives it emotional weight. And something here that does not fully belong to what came before or what's coming next. And just like Frogman, I think we're going to be hearing a lot more of these stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think because, like I said it last time, is we're moving from that industrialized. We're moving from the back to farmland into this now new idea of what the future is supposed to be.
Yep.
And so there may be even different cryptids.
Creatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. what I like, and you just touched on it, is this one doesn't fit into a category, and that was kind of
Yeah.
the point of describing the European stories and the Native American stories, is the dog man, right? It's supposed to be a creature that existed outside of the human sort of element, right? Whereas the Native American stories are embracing the human and the wolf, and the European stories are shunning the wolf and the human relationship, whereas this one doesn't really fit neatly in any sort of specific category, but it's
Yeah.
a mesh of both cultural understandings of what these wolf creatures are. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Mhm.
And that's where we're at right now with Ohio, right?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not fitting into a neat little box.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So then why do we keep telling these stories?
Yeah.
And so we tell stories like Dogman because they simplify something that we don't like to admit about ourselves. The idea that civilization is a thin layer, a habit more than a guarantee. The werewolf has always carried that fear. In older European stories, it's a curse, it's a punishment, it's a loss of control that turns a human being into something predatory, even though humans can be predatory on their own.
Right.
Something that must be contained. But modern versions like Dogman feel different. They're stripped down. There's no curse. There's no moral lesson.
Yeah.
There's no clear origin.
Yeah.
Just an image that appears at the edge of understanding. A large figure standing upright in the trees. A shape that is both familiar and wrong at the same time. A predator that looks almost human. Or a human reduced to something older. And that ambiguity is the point. Because the fear is not just what is in the woods. It is what the woods reveal about us.
Mm-hmm.
That under the right conditions, darkness, isolation, uncertainty, the categories we rely on begin to blur.
Speaking of dogs, this is Nora.
Human and dog, safe and unsafe, known and unknown, and in that blur, Dogman becomes less a creature than a question we keep refusing to answer directly. Last month, you guys got to hear from Tasha. Dogman becomes less a creature than a question we keep refusing to answer directly. What are we really when the structures that define us fall away?
Yeah.
And I think that at our very nature, we're afraid of ourselves.
Sure.
We're afraid that we are predatory.
Yeah.
Because we kind of are.
Yeah, I mean, that structure that like these individuals in this town were used to was manufacturing, and it was dying. You know?
Yeah.
That whole way of life, that structure was fading away,
And I mean, Appalachian cryptids, that's a whole different other ball of wax too. You're getting those ones coming in. You've got our native traditions. You've got the European traditions that are coming in here.
Yes.
And it's just, we're a melting pot of everything. That's one of the reasons why I love Cleveland.
Yeah.
Is that we've got a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And if you're outside of Cleveland and listening to our show, don't tell people how cool Cleveland is, because
property values will get us out of the market. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's cost of living here is great.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna keep it on the down low. So the Dogman isn't only the latest one, and we've got something for you guys to do this time around. We've got a little homework for those of you who listen to the show or watch the show. We want to know what your thoughts are about what we talked about. Leave a comment on our socials, comment on the YouTube video, and as always, we want to thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for being our neighbor.
Won't you be our neighbor?